Hello sisters, how are you? Welcome back to the program. Today in this video we are going to be talking all about carbs and how to find out exactly how much to have for your particular type of PCOS. So this kind of seems like a very, shady topic, something that's very mysterious, but I promise you it's not, and I'm going to simplify everything for you in this video. So first, let's talk about carbs, what they exactly are. So as you know, carbs are, these structures which break down into glucose in our bodies. And if you didn't know already, glucose is the primary source of fuel for our brain. So when we go on these extreme low-calorie diets, one of the first symptoms that we experience is brain fog, and that's also true for low carb diets. Those on these extreme low carb diets will find themselves irritable, losing their memory, losing their attention, and in a state of brain fog for long periods of time. That's why I highly recommend that you don't do that and you enjoy carbs as part of your daily meals. But how exactly do you enjoy carbs? So the problem with carbs arose when the modern world shifted from our whole grains to our refined grains. So when we talk about our refined grains, refined flours, we're talking about white flour. So white flour has that important component of whole grains removed. So it kind of goes into your body and it gets broken down into glucose very, very fast. And what does that do? That raises your blood insulin levels very fast as well. And that spells trouble for insulin resistance. So that's no good. So the real culprit is your refined flours. You really want to make sure that you are avoiding those. So you're talking about your white flours, your white bread, and even some flours and breads claim to be made of whole grain flours, but if you look at the ingredients, whole grain is not listed as the first ingredient. That means that it's not the main component, and that's also not good for you either. So I highly recommend that you stick to whole grains, you stick to your fruits, you stick to your veggies as your main sources of carbs. Okay, so you want to be focusing on good carbs. That's not to say that I want you to never have donuts again, I want you to never have any pizza again, because that's really rude and mean. No, all I am saying is that 80 to 85% of the time I want you to stick to your whole grains, to your healthy carbs, and that's what really matters. The second thing that matters is your individual carb tolerance. So I have a whole guide on this, but I also wanted to explain this a little bit further in my video. So for example, you have a meal and you have some protein. It could be anything. It could be a piece of chicken or some steak or some fish or some kind of vegetarian protein. On the side you have veggies, you have some flatbread or some bread. Now the portion of each of those is really important. Of course, your portion of protein needs to be greater than your portion of carbs, but how much carbs should you really have? So what happens when you eat those carbs? You want to think about how you are feeling afterwards. 1 hour afterwards, I want you to write down on a piece of paper, on a journal, and you know how much I love journaling for PCOS. So you want to write down how you're feeling. If you're feeling like you need a nap, you're so tired, or you feel kind of dizzy, or you just don't feel good, then that could be due to two reasons. That could be that you didn't have enough carbs, or that could be that you had way too many carbs. So in your next meal, you want to experiment. If you think that, no, I think I reduced my carbs too much, then increase them very slightly. So I'm talking about by a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons more carbs than you had before. And then write down how you felt after eating this meal. If you felt better, that means yes, you've nailed it. That's your carb tolerance. That's how much carbs that you need to have on a daily basis. So that is a simple method for finding out what your carb tolerance is, and I recommend doing this for at least around 2 weeks to kind of really understand how your body is reacting to carbs. I wish I could say that this is the amount of carbs that you need to have for everybody, but that's not it. We are all different, and of course those with high levels of insulin resistance, so for example those who find it really easy to gain weight, they have super tough cravings, and you know, even blood tests show that they have high levels of insulin resistance, those are the people who need to have the